Hey, this is JG with a new edition of Weekly News Pills, a bouquet of handpicked events in last 7 days from across the planet. I request you to like and share these weekly news stories, subscribe to my channel and put in your valuable comments. Your comments will be a guiding light in my endeavor. News Pill 1. Musk wars with Twitter over his buyout deal on Twitter.
Twitter can take him to court and get a court order that says you have to complete this deal, you have to come up with the financing, you have to pay for Twitter. Other options that he could take is he could try to show that there was something called a material adverse event. It's a MAC clause. And he could say, you know, there was like some change to the business that materially for a sustained period of time is going to change Twitter's outlook. But the burden of proof is on him. He would have to show this. So him saying, you know, Twitter, I'm not going through with this deal until you prove to me that bots make up fewer than 5% of accounts. That's not, Twitter doesn't have to prove anything.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk promised that taking over Twitter would enable him to rid the social media platform of its annoying spam bots. Now he's arguing without presenting any evidence that there might be just too many of those automated accounts for the $44 billion deal to move ahead. The sharp turnaround by the world's richest man makes little sense except as a method to scuttle or renegotiate a deal that's becoming increasingly costly for him, experts say. Newspill 2. After beating Magnus Carlsen, Rameshbabu Praggnanandhaa, the Indian teen chess sensation's first thought was to catch up on sleep.
I'm just not surprised, and there he is, the man himself. You know, you don't want that awkward board for a minute having to chat to your opponent. This is the way to do it. You just sit down, you press your opponent's clock, all within 5 seconds.
And it's incredible. All the opponents, I don't know if this started as a trend and if one player is copying the other or if they all want to show that respect. But every day, Magnus, or almost every day, it's been, you know, just that 1 minute late. But the opponents have pretty much never started the clock. But Magnus, he came, sat down, pressed the clock, and Pragg has just made a move.
Rameshbabu Praggnanandhaa has just stunned Magnus Carlsen, grabbing a seat at the top table of the sport by beating chess's most dominant player. It was a breakout moment for the young star nicknamed Pragg to secure a victory against the 5 times world champion and current world number 1 during the Earthings Masters, an online tournament in February 2022. In doing so, he is the youngest player to beat Carlsen since the superstar became world champion in 2013. Newspill 3. Russia's invasion of Ukraine could soon cause a global food crisis that may last for years, the United Nations has warned.
The Russian invasion in Ukraine is amplifying and accelerating all these factors: climate change, COVID-19, and inequality. It threatens to tip tens of millions of people over the edge into food insecurity, followed by malnutrition, mass hunger, and famine in a crisis that could last for years. But let's be clear, there is no effective solution to the food crisis without reintegrating Ukraine's food production, as well as the food and fertilizer produced by Russia and Belarus, into world markets despite the war.
Speaking in New York on Wednesday, Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the war had worsened food insecurity in poorer nations due to rising prices. Some countries could face long-term famines if Ukraine's exports are not restored to pre-war levels, he added. Newspill 4. The euro is nearing parity with the dollar. Here's what it could mean for investors.
European currencies remain under pressure amid the broad-based strength of the US currency. The euro-dollar pair is locked in a trading range. Some forex experts say that the euro has already exhausted the bearish momentum and has bottomed out. The trading range for today is defined between 1.0442 and 1.0376.
As of Thursday morning, that is the 19th of May 2022 in Europe, the euro was hovering around US dollars 1.05, having been in steady decline for almost a year, down from around US dollars 1.22 last June. The common currency slid to just above US dollar 1.03 earlier this week. The euro is nearing parity with the US dollar for the first time in 20 years. But currency strategists are divided on whether it will get there and what it will mean for investors and the economy. The dollar has been strengthened by risk aversion in markets as concerns about Russia's war in Ukraine, surging inflation, supply chain problems, slowing growth, and tightening monetary policy have driven investors towards traditional safe haven assets. The narrowing between the two currencies has also been driven by divergence in monetary policy among central banks. The US Federal Reserve earlier this month raised benchmark borrowing rates by 0.5 percentage point, its second hike of 2022, as it looks to rein in inflation running at a 40-year high. Newspill 5. Google opens self-designed, eco-friendly campus in California.
The one thing we know about the future is we have no idea how we're going to be working in 20 years, 10 years, even 5 years. Charleston East and Bayview represent the first time that we led the concept and construction of our own major campuses. And it's an opportunity to rethink the very idea of what an office building is and rethink what's possible for the industry.
Google has opened an all-electric campus that uses recycled water for all non-potable water needs and relies heavily on alternative energy generation. The Northern California site marks the first time the company has self-designed one of its own facilities. The new Bayview campus also sports the largest geothermal installation in North America, the search giant said in a blog post Tuesday. The geothermal system heats and cools the facility. The company estimates the design will save 5 million gallons annually, or 90% of the water that would have been used by a conventional system to regulate temperature. The campus features a striking solar panel roof that has hard edges and slopes downward in a pattern Google calls a dragon-scale solar scheme. The solar roof, along with a nearby wind farm, will power the campus carbon-free 90% of the time, the company said. That's all for today. Thank you and goodbye for now. Stay blessed. See you in my next weekly episode.